Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to show you how to quickly build a smart bookmark tool. And the way this works is you will set some bookmarks on a Google Sheet that says on this specific URL, like if I'm on pixiebricks.com, I want to be able to see the docs pages, I want to be able to see pricing, and I want to be able to quickly access them. And so what will happen is then you'll be able to open the sidebar that when you're in specific pages, it shows those links. Rather than all of your bookmarks at any given time, it shows you smart ones based on the page you're on. You can also set some to show everywhere, so I'll show you how to do that. First of all, you're going to want to build a spreadsheet that looks kind of like this. It's going to have 3 columns. You're going to have host, type, and URL. And over here, you're going to want to specify specific domain something will show up on. This is kind of like the title that would go with it, and this is the actual URL that you want to go to when you click the button. So let's show now how we would go about building this. First of all, open the page editor by right-clicking on the page and clicking Inspect. And look for this Pixie Bricks tab. It's typically here at the end. I like to give myself a bit of space to work with, but you can do what feels right for you. So first of all, we're going to start by adding a quick bar action. Go over here, click Add Quick Bar Action, and this is going to let us trigger this mod from the quick bar, which can be brought up by using a keyboard shortcut. In this case, I'm on a Mac, so it is Command M. But if you're on a PC or other device, you can use Control M to open it up here. So you can see whenever now I click this, it's going to trigger anything that happens after this. So let's go ahead and define this. I've got some text over here. I'm just going to call it related links. I want it to show up on all URLs, so I'm going to click all. Go ahead and remove that. And under advanced here, I'm going to select an icon. I'm going to probably type link, put that in there, and we're good to go. So now I can already see it showing up here in my quick bar. So next, we need to get the URL of the page that we're on. And specifically, we need to get the base, because if I'm on Pixie Bricks, I want certain links to show up, and I don't want it to be just specific URLs, although I could set it to be that, but I want it to be across anywhere on this domain. So I'm going to add the parse URL brick. And this is going to take the URL and split it out into different pieces. So you can see, I'm going to do at input.url, which you can see I can reference that because anytime I run Pixie Bricks, I have a whole object of items that I can access. And one of which is the URL that I'm running it on. And so I'm just going to pass this right here. And you'll see if I click it, it's going to go ahead and run. And I can see in this output tab on the data panel what I get from it. And so this is what I want, is this host name. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Save that because I'm going to need that in a second. All right, so next I want to go look up data in Google Sheets. So I'm going to search for our Look Up Google Sheet row. Hover over this, click Add. I'm going to select this Google Sheet, and you're going to find the one you created that looks like the one we talked about. Want this one. And so it's going to populate a few things in here, but what I'm looking for is my tab that's called Resources. If you noticed over here, I've got a lot of tabs. I want the Resources one. So you want to make sure that matches. Then after I click that, I'm going to put in the column header that I want to search. In my case, it's host. And I'm going to want to look for that output from here, anything that has Pixie Bricks in it. So you can see here, this is where I define the host. So I'm going to want to put that in there. And lastly, I'm going to want to make sure I include all matches. So I've got that in there. And then next, I also want to return anything that's for my current domain, but also any links that show anywhere, or for everywhere. So I'm going to take this, copy it, paste it, and now I'm going to search down here. Instead, I'm just going to put everywhere. And once again, I want to make sure all matches are toggled. And let's just run the mod to kind of check where we're at. So you can see now I've got my everywhere items, and then I've also got my Pixie Bricks specific ones here. And again, you can see all of this from the output here on those specific bricks. Lastly, I want to combine both of those together so it shows my domain-specific ones, but also my everywhere ones. And to do this, I'm going to use a JQ filter. Just hover over that brick, click Add, and I've already got the filter you're going to want to use, so just do this. And then for the data, click this X and click Object Properties, and click Add a Property. And we are going to add A, that is going to be our first row, and then B, at row. We're going to call this row 2, and then I'm actually going to go rename this one to be row 2. So we've got row 2, and I'm basically going to put those two together. Let's just check how this works so far. All right, so you can see now I have 7 items because I have 1 here, and then I've got 6 here. So I've got 7 total items. So now I just need to display them in the sidebar. So to do that, I'm going to add the display temporary information brick. And then at the top here, this is just kind of what that panel is going to look like. And so I'm going to call it links I want it to be in the sidebar. I could make it appear in a modal or a popover, but I want to use the sidebar. And then I'm going to go into this render document brick, and that's where a lot of the magic happens. So first of all, I want to click example document and change the title. I'm going to call it links. I might make it a bit smaller too. And then I want to set some text over here to say, I basically want to say these are the links that I've set to appear on whatever that parse URL, that host that we're on. So pixiebricks.com. And it's green. I can change the color. I can make it blue. I can make it info or whatever colors I want, or just that default. I could change the background. I could do all sorts of styling things. I could center it. All sorts of options here for what I want to do. And next, though, I want to actually display the links. So I'm going to click these 3 dots in the second most outer box, and I'm going to add another row. And then within here, I'm going to click these 3 dots in the innermost section, and I'm going to click list. And then I'm going to click on list to be able to define it. And the list that I want to use is this data from JQ. And I'm actually going to rename it to rows, so I know that I have all of the rows here. And then I'm going to go back to my list, and I'm going to say, this is the array of data that I want you to loop through. This is the list for each one. And you can change the element key. I'm going to call mine link. And for the item type, this is what I want it to create one of for each item in that list. And so I want to create a new row. And then you can see this is where my first row is. And I'm going to click these 3 dots now and choose button, because I want it to make a button for each of the links in there. So what it's going to do is for every item it finds in rows, every element, every link, it's going to create a new button. And so now I got to say what I want it to do for that button. So click on that button and it'll bring up this panel. And that's where we're going to define that link pipeline. And specifically what I want to do is I want the text on the button. I don't want it to say primary or action. I want it to actually say the name of the link. So whatever we've got over here, this text, I want it to pull that. And I can change the style of this button. I can make it look like that. I can do any of these different kinds. I can make it large, medium, small. I'm actually going to make this one small. I can make it full width if I want to. And I can do various things to style it here. But I'm good with that for now. And now I need to go over here. So if you notice when we added a button, it added this section over here with a little add a brick option inside the pipeline. And what that's going to let me do is anything I add in here is what will happen whenever that button is clicked in the sidebar. So I want to open a new tab with the link from that button. So open a new tab, and then this is how I'm going to access the link from within that object. So let's go ahead and run it now just to see how it's looking. Returns all of the data, and you can see I've got my links here. They're a bit on top of each other, and I don't really want them to be that squished, so I'm going to apply some margin in between them. To do that, I'm going to go back to the render document brick, and I'm going to find this row that has the buttons, and then if you go to the advanced layout sections, go to margin, I'm just going to give it 2. Let's click show live preview, and I can see, yeah. Okay, so, and I'm good with all of the margins there, and that's good to go. So that is how you can build a smart bookmark thing that shows you whatever links you need on whatever page you want them. And you can go ahead and update this spreadsheet live. You can now save this and close out of it, and you'll never need to use it. You can just head back in here and define whatever you want. So you can say your specific URLs and name a type, and this can update, and every time you run it, it will reflect new things. So for instance, it's if I say everywhere and I say Slack community, Slack. Now, let's say I'm over here on Wikipedia. I can run this same shortcut to show related links, and it's going to show these that have said to show up on everywhere. So I can see the Slack community right there. Let me know if you have any questions. And speaking of the Slack community, come join us over there if you've got any questions or want any help or want to show off what you're building.